Hi everyone, my name is Maxim. I'm reporting team lead at Exness. I'm glad to be here today. Thanks, Nikolai, for organizing such kind of meetups and for the chance to be here. This is my second time. Previously, I told a story about our reporting team, about our processes, about our organizational structure, and also I mentioned the style guide. And today we will mostly talk about the style guide and I will share our experience how we implement the style guide at Exness, what kind of problems we have, how we try to resolve it, and finally, in the end of my presentation, you can find the QR code which guide you to our Tableau public space. You can download our style guide, check it carefully, read it, and so on. Also, there will be a QR code to our article about the style guide. You could also get some details there. So you don't need to make a photos, just relax. You can get all needed details later. A bit of history of our reporting team. The Tableau reporting was born at Exness in 2018, and we had that time 4 or 5 BI analysts which had a lot of responsibilities, different responsibilities. They did A/B testing, data analysis, business analysis, and all other tasks, including dashboard creation. Let's say it was something like a full-stack BI analyst. And we had approximately 30 active Tableau reports at that times. Active means that at least 1 week this report have some use. And now we have a separate team, reporting and visualization team. We have 18 analysts, which mostly connected or focused on report development. It doesn't mean that they, like Tableau developers, just prepare dashboards and that's it. Of course, they sometimes do business analysis, sometimes prepare data sources, some data engineering tasks and so on. But mostly they concentrate on dashboard creation and visualizations. And now we have approximately 200 active Tableau reports. And as a cherry on a cake, we have a data designer in our team, which helps us a lot with the style guide, with a lot of stuff. So why did we start thinking about the style guide? First reason, it's a very common reason. Each developer has their own style. If you hire a senior specialist anyway, each specialist, if you give the one task to separate specialists, they finally will do absolutely different visualizations based on the background they had. And this is the first reason why we decided to think about it. The second reason, we had a lot of reports which were somewhere between test and production environment, let's say pre-production stage. It's also a very common problem when you need to create something very quickly, when your customer waiting for some urgent task and you don't have a time to prepare proper data sources, proper pipelines. Sometimes you do something very quickly, push it to development folder on a Tableau server, give the permissions and forget about it. We had such a problem. We had a development folder, which is our development environment, and we had a lot of reports which were used like a production reports, and sometimes our customers didn't understand what is production, what is development, and so on. The first two reasons cause the next one is the customer's trust. It decreases because, as I mentioned, they asked us a question: what is the production report? Why this is not ready? Why it is in development folder? Why these reports are very different from that one, and so on and so on. Why filters on this report are from the right side? Why here it is from the left side? So a lot of questions. And also, as additional reason, we have a demand for the high quality. For example, our managers and the Tableau tool mostly uses by our top and middle managers, and they usually use our visualizations in their internal presentations, in PowerPoint presentation, in some digests. Also, we publish some information on our website. So if you have some ugly dashboards, it's impossible to use it quickly. So this is like an additional reason. And finally, why did we need a style guide? First reason is a clarity and consistency. Applying the best practices of visualization may help a lot to be sure that users understand data correctly. The second main reason is about the time saving, and it is important both for the business side and for the developers also. First of all, set of predefined examples may help your developers quickly compose or assemble needed dashboard and provide high quality data visualization very quickly. And from the business point of view, the users, your end users, can find needed answers rather quickly if they have the single style, clear dashboards, clear visualization. The next reason is about trust. High quality reports lead to increased trust between the developers and users. As I mentioned previously, if you and now our style guide helps us, to have like an additional quality mark for all reports. If the user saw that it's developed by reporting team, it means that this is a high quality report. The next reason is the brand. If you have some internal brand book, if you have some design team, internal design team, if you synchronize with this internal brand book your style, it may help you to share your reports, as I mentioned, to some internal presentation, external presentation, websites, and so on and so on. So this is the four main reasons why we need, in Exness, why we need a style guide. So what was the implementation plan? Previously, we already had experience to implement the style guide. On my previous job at Luxsoft, we also have such a guide. But anyway, when you start doing something in new company, anyway you should do it. Maybe not from the very beginning, but anyway you should check. You should adopt it to the new company. So we collected all the questions and issues valuable for Tableau developers to define the basic parts of the guide. And this is a rather common things. The developers ask usually very similar questions. Where should I put filters? What kind of logos I should use, what kind of icons I should use, and so on and so on. What fonts we should use, how about this title, that title, and so on and so on. Then we, of course, synchronize with our design team get the brand book, get the icons, get logos, and so on and so on. Some advice about the fonts, colors, and so on. Finally, we prepare the guidebook, and what is the key of success here for Tableau especially is to create a template. Template with everything inside. I mean, template with predefined fonts, predefined headers, predefined icons, and so on and so on. Also with a sample of using containers and all other Tableau stuff. So it may really help and it may save time to your developers to quickly start doing something. But this is, let's say, the first 3 steps. It's just the 50% of success, or maybe less. Because if you already have a style guide, today you can download style guide, but this is not the all stuff which we have to do. One more important point here is to define the procedure or procedures that will help you to be sure that the developers follow your style guide and which allow you to control the quality of the reports. And finally, you should anyway continuously update and improve it. If you think that you just one time created, it doesn't work. You should anyway continuously add something, check with your designers what news we have, and so on and so on. Here is the main parts of our style guide. This is just like a list, like a content. Next slides, I will not show all the slides. I mean all the pages of our style guide. I just would like to highlight the most important points which we have inside. As I mentioned, you can download the full style guide and check it in details. The first page of our style guide is the key steps. We try to collect the main questions which each developer should take into account when start doing something. And the first most important thing here is the goal of your dashboard and business value. You should ask yourself why you start doing it, what kind of problems your dashboard will solve, and so on and so on. And also one of the important things here is the sketch. Anyway, it doesn't mean what kind of project you have or what kind of task you have. We highlighting here that sketch is important because it may save your time. It may help you to understand the structure of your dashboard, what elements you have, and so on and so on. And it doesn't matter what tool you have. You use for sketching. You can use a canvas. You can use professional tools like a Figma, or just the piece of paper and the pencil. It doesn't matter. Just use something to prepare the sketch. Also, we give some important tips in order really to have very important things keep in mind in the very beginning of the dashboarding. The next part is about the composition. You may find a lot of things, a lot of stuff about how to properly compose a web page or, I don't know, dashboard. And we collected here the 5 most important, from our point of view, advice, and just to highlight in the very beginning how properly assemble the dashboard. Next thing is about the layout structure. 2 points I would like to highlight. Here it is about size. It is important because in each organization you have a different environment. Let's say For example, we have some standards inside an Exness, what kind of laptops you have, what is the size of these laptops and the monitors in offices. And we try to give recommendation for developers how to properly choose the size in order to have the appropriate and scalable visualization for each type of monitors or laptops which we have in our company. And one more very important thing for Tableau, it's about containers. It also may save a lot of time if you properly build the structure of containers, and we just highlighting it here, but really developer don't need to read this page, I mean the second time when he starts doing something, because we already have the proper structure inside our example. Next thing is about layout organization. Here we give some examples, what is the main parts of the dashboard, where to place the logo, where is the service area, where should we have a header, what kind of header, the size of header, and so on. And also we are talking here about the spacing. So we are giving here the main advices about the organization of your structure, of your dashboard. Chart types, it's also a very common thing. You may find a lot of chart choosers and so on. And here we just collected the most popular charts which we have inside Exness. And here it is just the additional step, additional page which may help you to choose the proper type of chart. Colors, also very important thing. The basic thing here is to synchronize with your corporate style if you have that one. And here we give an advices what is the basic color palette, how to properly use colors, what should you use in the background, and so on and so on. So general advices about the colors. Also, we have a separate page, you may check it later, about the color palettes. We have a separate prepare the palettes, just you don't need to think about colors, just choose the most appropriate. And of course, we have the special rug color palettes in order to highlight some red-green things inside the dashboard. Filters, it is also very important thing, and here we give an advices how to properly place the filters, how to, and not only it is not only about the design, it is also about the, for example, performance. We give here some advices how to properly set up filters in order to avoid performance issues, and give some advices about some Tableau tips and tricks how to properly place and set up filters. Finally, we have a checklist. Here you can see only main parts or the topics of the checklist. Here we would like to highlight for our developers the basic points. Our total checklist, full checklist, contains 50 points to check, and it seems that it's too hard to check a lot of stuff before publishing something, especially if you have some simple visualization. Yes, it is hard, but when you do it first time, it's of course hard. But if you do it 1, 2, 3 times and so on, you will do most of things automatically. So it's really useful, because when you, I will show you the approval stage on the next slide. It will helps for approval a lot. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, that we should somehow check the quality of our dashboard, and we have to be sure that our developers follow the guide. And we implemented rather simple procedure inside an Exness, and as a zero stage here is a checklist. Yeah, so each developer before pushing something for approval should check everything by himself or herself, and to be sure that everything is okay. Then we have a design and quality approval procedure. The developer should put a link in a Slack, or we have a separate design review meetings if it is some complicated thing. And developer should collect at least 2 likes before publishing to production. This design approval group, this is a separate group which we have inside our reporting team. It contains the lead specialists of our reporting team. They check the same thing at the checklist, but they also check some issues with some technical issues with filters, with something else, and give advices about the design, about the proper chart usage, and so on. And finally, if you collect 2 likes, you just put the report, design approved tag to your report, and you can publish it into production. What problems did we have? First of all, it is of course resistance. Resistance from the both parts, from the developer's side and from the user's side. If you have a senior developer, each senior developer may think that they are the best one and they know a lot about everything in a design, and each developer have their opinion about the color palettes, about everything. But our aim was just to collect all the requirements from all developers and to agree on a single style in order to make our life easier. So finally, we had some cases that we argue a lot about some points, but finally we agreed on a single style, and all developers now are happy with our guide, our procedure, and they really understood that it really helps themselves. Sometimes, of course, you may have some resistance from your users, especially if, I don't know, some top manager may say you that this is a not proper red color. I would like that one. We also had such issues, but we tried to explain that we follow the agreed single style, which agreed with our designers, with our head of design, and we trying to suggest some compromise, and usually we win here, and for now we don't have such problems here, but you may have it. Of course, initially, when you start doing such a job, you should spend a lot of time to clean up what you already done, and we also spend some time. Our solution was just to prioritize our folders, our projects. We selected the most important for us, for example, the top managers, folders, and so on, some very important projects, and step by step we clean up all the reports and redesign them. Also, one of the problem which we had, it is about the approval process, which I mentioned, and it could be a bottleneck. It could be a bottleneck, and our solution here is to simplify it to make it as simple as possible. And we don't have any formalities here. We trust each other. We just when we trying to approve something, we just have like a side look in order to don't miss something, to point some important points, to check some technical issues, and so on and so on. And finally, we are saving our time. So, and as I promised, here you can scan our Tableau public QR code. We have the style guide, the full style guide. Also, we have some introduction page, and also we are planning to publish some interesting visualizations which we faced in our team, in our company, and now we have just published the interesting social graph visualization. You could check it also here. And all details about the implementation process you also can read on medium.com. Please use this QR code. So thank you for your attention. That's it from my side.
I have two questions for you. First of all, as I understand, development of the style guide is a quite long process. It requires a lot of resources. From which side of the company it may be reasonable to start development of the style guide? Because from my understanding, for small startups, it's not worth it because you need to be fast. When at some point of the development, you become a huge company. When it's worth to start development style guide?
Well, I think the answer is very simple. If you have a small company, you should have a small style guide. If you have a big company, you should have a big style guide. In the beginning, we didn't have the style guide which we publish there. We have a few pages with basic rules in order to be sure that we put the logo on the proper. Logo is maybe not the big problem. Yeah, how to properly set up filters, how to properly set up dashboard, and maybe the main thing for Tableau is how to properly use the containers and all that stuff, which may really save your time. So if you are a small company, just think about the main things which will save your time, and maybe it will be just, I don't know, 1 page or 2 pages, something like this.
Okay, thanks. And the second question is, how long it took for you to develop this style guide for the team?
Oh, it's a difficult question because we went step by step. In the beginning, it was small. I think that I work at Exness 2.5 years when I came. We start development, and we have just published it to Tableau Public. I think that 2.5 years.
When you start in 2018, did you have a designer for platform or data designer?
No, we didn't have a designer, and we missed a lot of designer. And when she comes to our company, we were so happy, and it really helps. It really helps. But if you don't have a designer, anyway, you have a designer among your developers, and we, of course, by ourselves do something, color palettes, and did something. I mean, did color palettes, did some rules, and so on and so on. So it's not a blocker.
And how long does it take without designer and with designer? What's the parts?
Without designer, it may take a lot of time because you may argue a lot about the design. And when you have a designer, you have like an authority. And if the designer said, it means it's true. So, of course, if you have a designer, it will be much faster.
No. I mean, about time when you develop it. 1 year you work without designer, then you work with designer.
Okay. We hired designer in January this year.
Okay.
So we
Very impressive work, yeah. Thank you for sharing. As you mentioned, the developer firstly was unhappy. Is it? Are they happy now? And how long does it take to get the benefits? Do they understand or they think development is it increase? So.
We didn't have, let's say, a lot of cases of resistance from the developer side, and the bottleneck was the approval process. For example, you are a senior developer. Previously, in the previous company, you, I don't know, did everything by yourself, and you came to another company, and somebody, maybe younger than you, say to you how to properly prepare the dashboards. Sometimes it's very tricky thing. But finally, we understand. We understand that it is really helpful procedure which help us to save our time.
So yeah, you mentioned about the developers, and I wanted to know, like, what were the main points where the developers didn't want to agree with the general design rules? So, like, what was the main thing they were worried about?
Colors, of course, it's about colors.
Colors. Okay, thank you.
Of course, it's about colors.
Colors. Okay, thank you.
So one question, is this guide for developers if analysts want to develop their own dashboard? Do they need to pass through this guide?
Yes, this guide aimed to developers, not any developers, Tableau developers, because inside we have a lot of tips and tricks for Tableau, exactly for Tableau. And of course, it may help to developer. If you, I don't know, single developer and it is your first time to develop something, it will help you to understand step by step how to prepare the proper visualization.
BI analysts and maybe they develop their own dashboards or not?
We have a BI. Frankly speaking, we all are BI developers because BI developer, it's, I don't know, it's mixed specialist, and we are BI developers, frankly speaking. We're not a reporting specialist, we are BI developers.
Could you please share how do you use designer? I mean, for example, I'm a developer. I create my dashboard and I use your style guide. When do I need to pass it to designer and what is it?
If you anyway, if you will try to use this guide, you will do something with design, because we, for example, about colors here, it's most debated topic, and you should decide by yourself, together with your team, together with your designers, what colors you will use in your company. If it doesn't matter for you, for example, you are a small company and you don't have a corporate style, you don't need to think about to synchronize with some designers, you can just use this one. It contains the rather cool color palettes, you can use it from the scratch. But if you have something to synchronize, I mean to adopt this style guide to your company, you should do something. And there are two ways here. If you can do by yourself or connect with some designers.
Do you have any naming style guides for reports and dashboards?
It's a good question. Yeah.
Based on the purpose of the report, or on the indicators it's showing, or on the business function or department.
Yeah, it's a good question. The style guide mainly cover the questions about the design thing and design stuff. But inside the company, inside the Exness, we have a lot of additional stuff. For example, we have a naming convention for our data sources. we have frankly speaking, we don't have a naming conventions on how to properly name the list of the dashboard, but we are relying on the professionality of our developers here. We don't have any rules here, but we have some additional things: how to properly name the project, how to properly name the view, data source, and so on and so on. It's also helpful.
Last question. Yeah, Maxim, you mentioned that there was an issue of pre-production reports. Yeah, a lot of them. So, as I understand, this guide help you to create some process of creation dashboard from like requirements to an end. Yeah, would you please share how this process looks like in your company, and where is the place of style guide there? So, how it helped you to eliminate this issue with pre-production? Yeah.
Okay, I forgot to mention that we marked all the dashboards which are not approved with the special mark. It is demo, in order to be clear that this is demo, this is production. This is the first point. And this guide help you to the guide didn't help you. The process helped you. For example, if you would like to share something, you should have a production report. It should be placed in production folder. It shouldn't contain the marked demo. And in order to have it, you should collect 2 likes. So it is about the procedure. Procedure helps us to have a lot of dashboards on a development stage. Of course, we have such cases, but we have less cases now, and only process and control of this process may help to avoid such a situation.
But who decides that I will move demo tick from here? It's you?
No.
You have like leads.
First of all, we trust each other. Yeah, of course, I can cheat. I can like a cheating. Yeah, I can just put the production tag on my report, put it into production, and that's it. But of course, we periodically check these tags, and our designer, the task of our designer, to check production folders, to check the consistency, clarity of the dashboards, and so on. And of course, we will find such cases, and it will be not a good point for that developer who did such a things. We have a performance rating inside the company. It's another different procedure.
We'll have time. And thanks, Maxim. Big applause to you.
Thank you for your questions.